Hello, good evening. If you're catching this live, welcome to Promise Resource Network. This is Expansions with me. I'm Jane. I love this one. I love this offering because we get to dive into and expand the spiritual dimension of wellness, which, if you think about it, that means that we can really talk about anything, which I like that. So I'm going to give everyone a moment to tune in while I kind of settle in myself. The weather is so pleasant outside um, that there's a part of me that's kind of hoping that everyone's outside. And there's a big part of me that's like, I hope a lot of people tune in because this is way more fun when people tune in and chime in and tell me your thoughts and experiences and all that stuff. So I want to say hey to Linda who's joining. How are you? How's the weather up there, my friend? The weather here is a lovely kind of a gray. Like it's not a rainy gray, it's just a cloudy day gray. I'm kind of grooving on it. I think it's going to be really sunny the rest of the week. So I'm lighting some sage to kind of clear the air and settle in. So wherever you are, settle in. There's something about that smell. It just brings me back every time. I've had a very energetic day. Had a lot of energy today. Wonder how y'all are feeling. Let me know. So it's sunny up there. Nice. Yeah, I was outside today, but I feel like I could have used so much more outside time. I had a lot of outside time yesterday, and that was like medicine. I want to say good evening to Mama Jane, who's joining all the way from Southern Indiana. Welcome to now. I'm happy y'all are here with me. It makes me happy. So, how are y'all feeling? When I get comfortable with my rainbow pants, the stripes on. Oh, good. Mom's feeling better than yesterday. Awesome. Me too. Hopefully, we all feel a little bit better, right? Every day. And I know that's not always the case. Like, I get that. And it's my hope that maybe tomorrow I'll feel better, you know? And I kind of hold that. In fact, I think I've shared this before, but every night when I go to bed and every morning when I wake up, the first thing that kind of plays in my head that I say to myself or out loud or whatever is, how good can it get? Like, how good can this day get? How good can it get? How good can it get? How good can tomorrow get? Like, how good can it be? How much can I receive? How much can I give? How much can I share? How much can I learn? How good can it get? Ooh. And when I get in that, like that energy and that frequency and that consciousness, then I actually prep myself to have an experience in the future version of now that is way better. Like it really is. So I'm putting that out there. So I would like, because I want to talk about something today, and we can also change the topic at any point in time. But I kind of wanted to talk about this notion of punishment and how this works in the land of spirituality, like our connection with something bigger. And to me, the thing that we connect with that's the something bigger is that of love. And the way I see it, and tell me what you all think, is that love is actually non-judgmental, right? Love is unconditional. So there's no wronging and righting in love. It just is, and that's where it goes to acceptance. So unconditional acceptance is, there's like literally no space for judgment whatsoever. So I want to know, how can we live in a reality, in a spiritual life? How can we live as a spiritual being in a human body with punishment? Can we live with punishment? Do we do without punishment? Do we need to abolish punishment? Does punishment need to be harsher? I think that I'm sure that there are quotes from the Bible that say stuff about like an eye for an eye. And then also many sayings, not in the Bible, but, an eye for an eye would lead to a nation of a whole lot of blind people, right? Because we're all reflections of each other, and all that anyone else does is something that I've done, I've experienced, or I've witnessed myself, or I've been a byproduct of it. So this is the topic that I want to kind of talk about today, because I really want to know your thoughts and feelings on this. So before we begin, I would like to just ground in a little bit, just connect with our highest self, right? So that whatever it is that we talk about and we share about is going to come from our highest self's perspective. So I invite us all to take a big, deep breath in and a big breath out. Take a couple more cleansing breaths, whatever that looks and feels like to you. And connect with and affirm your spirit. The part of you that is the biggest, brightest, most knowing version of you that you've always been, you always will be. And affirm the guiding spirits that are around you, that have always been around you, and that are maybe here in this now moment. Maybe they're angels, maybe they're ancestors, maybe they're the galactic beings. But affirm and recognize all of the guides that are around you and around all of us, the spirited beings. And affirm Great Spirit, the mystery, the creator, the source, the divine. Acknowledging that you are a fractal of this wholeness. Take another breath in and surrender it out. May it be the offering. I needed that to settle in, you all. So talking about punishment, Linda shares, depends on the type of punishment and intentions of the punishment. Will you expand on the intentions of the punishment? Because to me, it's a punishment is a repercussion for someone doing something or not doing something that we wanted them or did not want them to do. Right? I don't want you to do this. You did it. I'm going to punish you. Or I wanted you to do this. You didn't do it. And now I'm going to punish you. Right? It's the instead of letting nature be the cause and effect, we decide to be the effector of the cause. Right? Something happened and we're going to make an effect. We are going to make a change. We're going to stop it. So how are you all taught about punishment? I know many people are taught punishment in aggressive ways, removal of things, like you're going to be punished by experiencing lack of connection, lack of play, lack of pleasure, lack of love, lack of commodities. I will take away things that make your life comfortable, easy, safe. I'm going to take them away as a form of punishment. I'm not saying punishment is good or bad. I don't want to say it's good or bad. There's no right and wrong. I just want to talk about how do we punish if we are unconditionally loving and radically accepting? Or is there room for punishment? Is there not room for punishment? What does punishment look like if it's done in love? Let's see. Linda says, intentions to have repercussions with love to learn lesson versus intention for punishment with malice and want to see hurting, etc. Ooh, yeah, that's definitely a type of punishment that I think we've all perhaps experienced or witnessed. Like, you hurt me because you didn't abide by my rules, right? When you don't abide by my rules, I get angry. I don't want to be angry. And so I will punish you. I will punish you for my anger in the name of what you did that I don't want you to do. And I want you to pay for it in a way that hurts you just as bad as I am hurting. Right? I want you to hurt like I hurt. That's a big punishment. You know, it's like someone burns you and you're like, I'm going to burn them back just so they know, as opposed to going to them with a loving lesson and saying, you know, when you burned me, it really hurt. And this is how it really affected my life. And they may not care, or they may actually have their compassion activated. You know, maybe they realize at that moment that they can be empathic, you know, and be like, oh, wow, I did something that actually hurt another living being. You know, definitely. Depending on the type of punishment and intentions, you know, what are the intentions with the punishment? To have repercussions with love, to learn the lesson, or an intention to see hurting, right? The get even. And can we just talk about that for a second? Getting even. What is that? To me, it feels like the ego, right? To me, that feels like an ego. Whether it's, you know, you scuffed my new shoe, well, I'm going to scuff your new shoe. That's your punishment, you know. That's literally the eye for the eye, you know. You hurt my child, I'll hurt your child. Nobody does that, you know. It's really not a fair. When the way we punish is never really truly that eye for an eye, you know, because if so, not only would we have a land of a bunch of blind people, and we would be doing things that were really like sick. Like for real though, like we would be doing really gross things to let a punishment truly fit the crime, you know. Speaking of crime, I want to read what Mama Jane says. She says, anyone that commits a violent crime should be punished. There are some punishments that are too harsh for the crime, while some punishments are not harsh enough. How do we decide the harshness then of a punishment? That's my question then. You know, how do we decide how harsh a punishment should be? For example, say, I'm going to use Michael and taking out the garbage as an example. Say Michael doesn't take out the garbage, right? I could either let it go, right? Whatever. Maybe it was the commitment. He's going to take it out. So now he didn't do what the commitment was, right? He broke the rule. The rule is if you live here, you have to take out the garbage. So now he didn't take out the garbage. So I can let it go, like whatever, right? Or I can put all of his stuff in the garbage and make him take it out. Hey, Alan. Or I could dump the garbage on his head while he's asleep. Or I could ignore him. Completely just ignore him because I'm mad that he didn't take out the garbage, right? That's my punishment. I'll ignore him, right? I will remove something of comfort. I'll remove connection. I'll remove conversation. I'll remove love. So how do we actually gauge the harshness of the punishment? When some days, if he doesn't take out the garbage, I really don't care. And other days, if he doesn't take out the garbage, I want to put the garbage on his head. So how can we create a baseline of what type of punishment we offer? How do we dictate if it's harsh enough, not, you know, too harsh? Do we even need to punish for some things? I want to say hey to Alan and Travis who are joining us. How are y'all doing? We're talking about punishment. How do we live in a land where punishment's a reality? How do we punish? Do we punish if we're actually truly being unconditionally loving and radically accepting? Like, how do we punish? How does that even look? You know, I'm grooving on the responses and feedbacks because like I don't have an answer to any of this. I'm just putting out the questions and making conversation around it and expanding on it. You know, it's like there are definitely some crimes, like Mama Jane said, that it seems like the punishments are like way harsh. It's like, you know, if you're in a brown body and you get busted with marijuana, you're going to be serving like penitentiary time. You're in a white body, you get stopped with more marijuana and you might get a slap on the wrist. Why are these not the same punishments? Does that mean that one punishment's right or that they're both right? Right? Travis says, wait until the emotions subside before we decide the punishment. Ooh, that's a valuable tidbit right there, friend. For real. How often do we react and create a punishment? Right? How often do we feel so heated, right? Um, you find out your partner cheats on you, right? That's pretty heated. There are going to be a lot of emotions, or you got passed over for the raise and someone else got it. That could be heated emotions, so then what do? Usually we react and do something in the line of punishment. We um, react and act out to the partner that cheated on us, or we immediately pack our bags and leave, or we stay in the relationship for 10 more years withholding love that whole time, or pretending everything is fine and cheating on them. Punishment is a very interesting thing that humans do, and I don't think any other living being does this at all. Interesting. Like dogs don't punish other dogs. Dogs don't punish the human. Actually, I feel like dogs and cats actually do sometimes when they're like, "Oh, you left me. I'm going to pee on your bed." But I don't think it's actually like intentionally like punishing them. I think it's like just I don't know. I've never had a cat. I don't understand them. But yeah, wait until the emotions subside, because if I'm going to punish someone, yeah, like they deserve for me to have a clear head. And if someone's going to punish me, I want them to have a clear head. I don't want them to be mad at me. I don't want them to still be hurting. I want them to be punishing me from, like Linda said, from a place of love, from a place of like, I want Jane to learn this lesson. So let me give her a punishment so that she learns, right? But I think things become malicious when we're in a heated emotional state, for sure. Definitely. Then Mama Jane says, thank you for that, Travis. I'm really glad you shared that. Mama Jane says, talk calmly with him about the situation and what's expected. Mind you, I just use the analogy of Michael taking out the garbage just because it's completely made up and the garbage is a moot point. Like we don't have an issue. But in that analogy, Mama Jane says, talk calmly to him about the situation and what's expected with him in sharing the chores. Don't hold it against them if the relationship faces problems. Don't hold it in or against him as the relationship faces problems. Well, yeah. And to that, so like say someone does something, right, that they weren't supposed to do. Hey, Sarah, got there and talk about punishment. So, say someone doesn't do the thing, or they do a thing you don't want them to do. They ate the last Twinkie. You had the box of Twinkies, you had your heart set on the last Twinkie, and they ate the last Twinkie. I know that these are like really like silly analogies, but we can apply them to anything ever. If someone ate the last Twinkie, so we could hold it in, right? Then the emotions are going to foster. We could do like what Travis said, right? Let the emotion flow through, feel whatever we feel, frustration, ignored, overlooked, forgotten, whatever it is that you feel when somebody eats your last Twinkie, which Twinkies are weird and I would never encourage eating them. Anyway, and if you do know judgment, and it's a lot of chemicals, y'all, weird, but, and, but let the emotion flow through and then maybe have like a conversation. Don't hold it in. But we tend to punish. So what if it's a situation where, like the person needs to be punished because they're the ones, they always eat your last Twinkie. Every time they eat the last Twinkie. Do we need to punish them? Like, do we actually need to have punishment as a thing? Do you all think we have to have punishment? Just like I can't see like thumbs up and stuff or thumbs down because it's not the platform that I'm on. So like if you could just type in like a yes or a no, do you think we need to have punishment? There are some cultures where the form of punishment for someone who did a crime was to sit them in the middle of a circle and surround them with words of love, to remind them that they are worthy of love, that they're good people, and that, what they did was, say, hurtful, and we still love you. You are worthy. We love you. And they didn't do the crime again. Love heals, right? That's the point of spirituality. It's the remembrance. Oh, we're made of love. Oh, when we forget we're not love, we act out. We're not respectful of others. We don't offer grace. We act out. We act a fool. We take the last Twinkie, whatever. When we're not being our highest self, we are not acting in a way that would reflect that out. And people don't like that. And then they punish us. I'm seeing a yes, I'm seeing a no. What do y'all think? Do you think that we need to actually punish people? Yes. Good evening, Jennifer. I'm happy you're here. And she shares that harmful acts come from a place of pain. Yes. Any time I yes. Yes. I see another yes. Do we need to have punishment? Do we have to have it? And if it's a yes, then why? Why do we have to have punishment? Is it because it's a fear that if we don't punish, then it'll happen again? And then we wouldn't be coming from a place of love. We'd be coming from a place of fear, which would beget more of that in which we don't want. If we don't punish, do we think we'll be less safe? That things will run amok? That things will become more chaotic and worse? I feel like a lot of rules tend to get broken when the rules are really confining. If we're made to live freely, we tend to not break the rules because there aren't as many rules to break. We tend to actually learn to live together instead of how can I make all the rules work for me? How can I break the rules? I'm scared of breaking the rules. I'm scared of being punished. Then we live in a life of fear. So Jennifer shared, harmful acts come from a place of pain. Yep. Yes. 100%. 99%. And I say that because children do harmful things, and oftentimes it's a part of their discovery. They don't know necessarily their own strength. They'll be swinging around and accidentally hit something, and the other person gets really hurt, and they're like, oh, I didn't actually mean to do that hard, and then they feel bad, so there's a margin of human, right? That it's like Lenny off the Grapes of Wrath. If he didn't mean to do harm, he was just a giant. He was just a very special giant human. So I'll like to say, oftentimes when we are in a place of pain, trauma, unresolved emotions, unresolved traumas, we tend to do harm. And when we are doing harm, it's really interesting how punishment works, because punishment is a two-way street. I feel oftentimes we want to punish others, which is a form of control. It is. Not saying that it's right or wrong, and it is a form. It's not all a form. It's a form of control. You don't do what I want. I'm gonna make you do what I want. And you go to another country, and the other country is like, no, but that's good here when they do that. And you're like, but in my country, it's bad. Look at marijuana. Oh, it's bad. You should be punished. It's a gateway drug. And others are like, it's a medicine that has kept me out of pain and mental, physical, and emotional pain for quite a while. It's been a plant medicine that has brought me some peace and a connection to the higher source. So then it's like, should we be punished? How do we decide who gets punished? How do we decide what's right and what's wrong enough to punish another human? I was going to say, please give me feedback too, y'all. Just whatever thoughts are coming up. I would love to know. Um, Another thing that I feel is, oftentimes, we're so busy punishing others that we don't recognize when we are punishing ourselves. So take a breath on that one and think about all the times you've punished yourself. All the time. Whether you did it consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously, we have all punished ourselves. Oh, I cheated on that partner. And my punishment is that I'll never get in a relationship again, or that partner cheated on me. I must not be good enough. I'll punish myself in my not good enoughness and I won't get in another relationship. I messed up dinner. I'm going to punish myself. I'm just not going to eat. I ruined it. It's ruined. And then go really dramatic. I'm never going to eat again. Or punish yourself, right? You fell off the wagon. You drank and you used again. So you punish yourself by sitting in a big cesspool of guilt and shame, or you overdid it and perhaps overdosed it. We punish ourselves all the time because we are so full of judgment, because it's how we've been conditioned. We've been so conditioned to be guilty and ashamed of most everything that we think, say, or do, and even down to the way we look in our human body, these unique, funky looking vessels, that we can't handle all of that judgment, so we have to pour it out to everybody else. And we're punishing ourselves the whole time. We punish ourselves. Let's see what Travis is saying. Travis says, I do feel society needs that control, especially in the instance of harm to others. Serial murderers, and rapists, for example. Right? Think about this. If someone's going to murder someone else or rape someone else, 99.9% of the time, they've been hurt real bad in their life. And they weren't loved. In fact, they probably had so much punishment. In fact, they were probably punished. Those who are rapists were sexually abused 9 times out of 9.5. So then they were probably more than likely punished on some level, right? How many women have been sexually abused and told, well, why were you wearing that short skirt? I will blame you, you woman, for having that body, that beautiful body, that curvy body. Oh, you drank too much. You didn't say no loud enough. So then we start punishing those who have been harmed from a very early age. So then they don't know how to be. They just know that the person that harmed them was safer than them, the victim. So then they're in a fight or flight mode, and they become the assailant. So then how do we punish those who are just grown-up children who are still suffering because they were raped as a child, or they were hurt as a child, or they were abused or neglected as a child? How can we punish these people? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. Maybe it's not the way that we've been punishing them. Maybe there are other ways of punishment. Mama Jane says we need to learn to forgive and love ourselves. Totally. And even if we do forgive ourselves, then I still go to burn dinner sometimes, and I'm still going to feel real bad. And I may then punish myself again, or I may punish my partner, right? I burned dinner and I blamed them because they came home late. I could have taken it out of the oven. It's kind of like, there's a bunch of war going on right now. And I couldn't tell you, I know it's like Israel, like Gaza. I'm not even sure. I know Biden's like super supportive and sending a lot of money over there for missiles to kill people. What? And then I'm like, so he's a murderer. Do we not punish him, or do we put him on a pedestal because we think it's right that the way he is supporting killing people? through our tax dollars, you know? And I'm not saying Biden's the only one. Look at any president who's done it. He just happens to be the one in the office. So do we not punish him? You know, we put the judge on a pedestal, literally. And are they not just as much of a murderer for saying that someone goes to the gas chamber as the person that did the act of murder in the first place? What makes us different if we say that someone should be hurt for hurting someone else? Does that not make us just as equally guilty? These are the thoughts, like these are the deep thoughts that I have when it comes to these topics, because I don't know if there's one right and one wrong answer, but I know that there's one righter path for me. And I don't even know what it is, but I'm always in like discovery and expanding and asking these questions. And I love to hear other people's perspectives and feedback because I only have my own. And every time someone shares a feedback, then it gives me like more like, well, what about this? Wouldn't I do this? And what about that? So I'm really grateful for your feedback and like everything that you all are sharing, like for reals. Let's see. Travis says, I agree. I feel the mental health care system is terribly broken. Right? But for real, the mental health care, the emotional health care, do we even have emotional health care? We don't. We do not have emotional health care. Hell, people don't even know emotional intelligence. People can't even name what they're feeling. Like literally, people don't know how. We've not been taught as a society to acknowledge our emotions, to identify them, to name them, and how to be with them in a safe way. So then what do we do? Because we're not taught these things, we act out. When we act out, we're ejecting built up emotions. And usually that hurts someone. And then we get punished. We get punished because we weren't taught how to handle and process emotions, which a trauma is an unprocessed emotion. Anything. So we're all walking around with PTSD because we've all been traumatized on some level and we haven't processed all of it. So we got a whole bunch of PTSD humans walking around with different variances of what traumas we experienced and how it's like systematically like being a disorder in our life. And I just read something and that's why I got a little in my head. We haven't been taught any of these things. So we're all walking around with these pent up emotions because we haven't processed them. We haven't even identified them. And so then we act out. So what does that mean? Maybe that means that we're like, so like, I'm tuned out, I'm tuned out, I'm tuned out. Oops, I ran a red light. You know, I passed a stop school bus. You know, got an offender bender. Literally, I did wrong things that if you look at your insurance premium, you get punished. You get punished by the dollars. You know, but if we were truly present, we tend to not run the red light or run the stop sign or pass the stop school bus or get in the fender bender. You know, when we're present, and oftentimes we're always on the digital device because we don't even know how to identify and process and handle emotions. So we're like, I'm not even going to deal with it. I'm just going to stuff them down and look, I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. I can't do anything. I'm busy. And so then we're punishing ourselves because we're disconnecting from humanity, from society, from our socialization skills, deactivating DNA that keeps us alive and well. Literally makes us sick. So we punish ourselves that way. We distract ourselves. We drug ourselves. We drink to ourselves. Like we do all these things. We punish ourselves. And then what does that do when we punish ourselves? We're punishing everyone else. Because if you, like me, have ever had an addiction, I was punishing myself the whole time for unresolved traumas. And I didn't even have the bandwidth to see the hurt that I was causing others. when I called out of work, when I didn't make the show, when I had to cancel at the last minute, when I dropped the ball, when I forgot the thing, whatever, like whatever. My self-punishment turned into punishment to others. So how can we stop the cycle right? Because if we know that, like Travis said, that the healthcare system is terribly broken, and it is. So how do we like put our foot in this cog? How do we put a disruptor in it so that it just has to stop for a minute and we just create something new? And I know that new things are already created. Like shit, look at Promise Resource Network. Huge mental health care, huge emotional health care, physical health care, spiritual health care. Like Promise Resource Network, it literally is an 8 dimensions of wellness healthcare network. Like how do we just continue to aggressively punish those that do harm while meanwhile not punishing the big wigs that we pay who are doing harm to the earth and to humanity? Sarah Catherine says insurance companies don't need CEOs either. Great topic, yo. Thanks. Nobody out there is saying, you know what? The oil pumping operations are really like hurting life on earth, right? Nobody's saying these operations are really hurting life on earth. Nobody's saying, you know what? The beef industry is really doing a number on the oxygen levels on this planet. Not just hurting adults, elders, children, all the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, all the life on earth. How about we just go to those people and punish them? Nope, we don't punish them. We give them every ounce of our energy, every single last penny we have. And then we feel bad, we punish ourselves, we give them more money. Meanwhile, unresolving our emotional crap and then acting out and getting really punished and being put in a prison system that has been designed to be like literally a holding cell for living beings, not letting them be around fresh air, light, community, hugs, compassion, food, like real, but for real food, like plants, clean water, soap that doesn't have lye in it that burns their skin. That's the punishment that we put people in. We punish people by putting them in cages and cells for some of the most minuscule things. And yet we have Monsanto putting so much glyphosate in our bodies through the plants. Just spray it all over the food. You humans eat it and you will get so sick. And then you're going to rely on the big pharma to drug your ass to keep you alive. Meanwhile, insurance companies are making millions. And the government isn't even a governing system anymore. It's all a big corporation. And nobody's punishing those people. So how do we be this spiritual, unconditionally loving, radically accepting human being on our spiritual path of all things bigger than us, seeing things for the bigger picture? How can we do that? How can the I do that? How can I be that? How can you do this? Like, I would like to know, please help me. Please. How can we do this? There's got to be ways. And I know that we are doing it. I know that we are. Just even talking about it and saying, maybe I can't, maybe I can't punish maybe I can't punish this lobbyist, right? That's going to bat to tear down half the Amazon. But what I can do is punish them with the way I choose to spend my money. My money is what I receive in exchange for my energy output, right? I put my energy into work. I get money for that. Then I give my money to others that are putting out their energy. Do I want to give energy to those who are harming life on earth? Or do I want to give my energy to support the energy given to those that are supporting life on earth? Why don't we actually step up into a higher platform of spiritual punishment? And it's funny that it comes down to the dollar. To actually punish someone, go big. You know, Travis says, start our own commune. Actually, there's nothing that stops us from becoming a mutiny, revolting, and creating our own self-governed communities. We can do that. It's our human right. We live in a free country. We forget that. Because many of us are too busy trying to point to others and be like, you need to do this way and do it that way. And if you don't do this, then you're wrong. And I'm going to punish you, right? We're too busy micromanaging, and we're too busy being afraid of being micromanaged and just trying to fit in just so that we don't get called out and punished. Because many of us have lived a life with a lot of punishment. It doesn't feel good. I'll do whatever I can. I'll walk in straight. No, what do you want me to do? I'll sit like this. I'll say this. What do you need me to do? Because we're too afraid we're going to be punished again. That's the system and how it's created us. Sarah Catherine's like, I'm all in for the commune. Me too. I'm trying, sister. I'm trying. Apparently, I'm going to go really big with this one. Go really big. Working on it. But, we have these freedoms to, really punish in light. We can punish in love, like Linda said at the top of the hour, that we can punish through lessons learned in love and not through, I need you to hurt. Everyone that's in a prison right now, that's in a jail cell right now, they're hurting. Ain't nobody in there like, man, this is so good. God, this feels good. God, this is great. I'm sure there's a margin of people that feel safer behind the bars. One, because maybe it's all that they've been experiencing, right? So now they've just been conditioned to believe that that's all that they deserve, is to be behind prison bars and in a cell. But the majority of the time, it's miserable. I'm really grateful that I've not been incarcerated. And when I talk to people who have, it is an ungodly form of punishment. And when I say ungodly, I mean it's unloving, completely lacking of love. So if it means that the punishment for someone for doing, pick the crime, whatever, is a day without any love, a year without any love, a lifetime without any love, without any softness, without any compassion, without any grace. To me, that's inhumane. It makes me want to cry with how mean that is. And then, so say someone murdered someone I know, right? I'm going to be real mad. I'm going to be real hurt. I'm going to want them to pay. So I could say, you know what, you rot in that jail cell. And if I still feel that way for 30 years, that's on me. That's my inability to create any compassion for the person that was hurting on some level enough to take the life of someone that I love. That's on me that I can't form a space of forgiveness. That's on me. Should they spend some time in jail? Maybe. Should they spend a decent chunk? I don't know. Maybe. But really? 30 years, 40 years, a lifetime? And now that prisons are more privately owned, there ain't no rules in there. Now it turns into a little satellites of mafia shit. That's all it is. becomes a money-making situation, because that's what businesses are. They want to make money. So now they make money on every prisoner that's in there. So now we're paying them. We're paying them to profit off of people we punish. Interesting. Mama Jane shares, let's see, they should be hurting if they committed a violent crime like murder. Who says they're not? Mama Jane says, I don't want them back on the street doing the crime again. Well, of course not. Nobody would want that. And I'm a big fan of not shoulding on anyone, right? Because I'm not the judge. None of us should be. I shouldn't. But are we the judge in this life? Are we the one to say you're right, you're wrong, and you should hurt? If someone murders someone else, $20 says they lived a real effed up life, and they probably have seen and experienced more pain and suffering than any one of us can imagine. They may have been emotionally neglected. They may have been neglected, like left in a crib for the first 2 years of their life. So now they literally don't have the neural pathways or cognitive skills to know how to human. And instead of being loved and supported, they retaliate because they don't have the mental space. So then they may murder someone. Just an example. And that goes back to what Travis said. Healthcare system's broken. Because what do we do with children who are abnormal, right? We label them, we give them pharmaceuticals, and we just get them through the system. Or we condition them so that they go directly to prison. It's very rare that if a child has had any emotional abuse, any physical abuse, that they get enough love and rehabilitation to not retaliate, because that's the way our system is. We are creating new systems, and there are a lot more like holistic practitioners that actually understand the value and healing power of compassionate care, so that there is actual mental and emotional and spiritual rehabilitation. It is possible, So then you have this person, right? Say you have a child and they were left in the crib for the first 2 years of their life, not touched, barely fed, like laying in their own waste. And then they grow up. Now they're in foster families. Some of the foster families lock them in a closet. Some of the foster families let adults do to them whatever they want for money, right? So this child is now growing up, ever being punished. They're going to start punishing themselves. They're going to start holding things in. They're going to start lashing out. They're going to want to fit into some group. They're going to want to fit in and be loved by someone. It's usually going to be more like a gang, because they might be weird to the privileged. So now they're welcomed, and now they're rewarded for doing harm. And now they're involved with a murder. Maybe they didn't even do it, but maybe they were 16 years old and someone in their car with them killed someone else. And now they too are found guilty. So now they've been charged for murder, and now they get to spend 50 years of their life in prison. Well, technically, they were a part of a murder. So should they be hurting for the rest of their lifetime? Or what if they were a kid and all that happened, right? Except instead of them being a witness to or next to the person that did the murder, someone said, if you don't shoot this gun, I'm killing you. Kill or be killed. You got a split-second decision. You may be killed, or you may kill. And so then what? You should hurt. You should go to prison your whole life. That's the way our system's set up. We send men and women to war to kill people every day. And they come back and get awards and medals. What's the difference? One's in the name of what? It's not in the name of love. Wars aren't fought in the name of love. They're fought in the name of greed. So what's the difference? So should every veteran be put in prison? Hell no, that'd be messed up. and they get to come back with PTSD because they got to witness and experience and murder. They got to see all these things and have this really awful experience. And then they come back here to the States where they're forgotten veterans and they're drugged. They're given all these pharmaceuticals without any true care. Just left. Not reconditioned on how to actually love because they're programmed to kill anybody and anything that is different than them. But they come back after fulfilling that mission. They get to come back and they are not reconditioned on how to be accepting of people and beings that are different. And yet they know their higher self knows that's not right. So they have so much cognitive dissonance, they have a hard time just being human in society. Should they be punished? Some people, after they came back from Vietnam, were punished. Some of them were. Punishment's a really interesting topic. We live in a land where punishment is thrown around left and right in the name of something. But it's never, from what I've experienced, it's so rare. I'll say rare. I don't want to say never because then that just puts out this reality and I just don't want to do that. Thus far, it's not been, I'm punishing you in such a loving way so that we can grow together. I think that that's like the next step in our evolution is how to give real, compassionate health care, physical care, emotional care, spiritual support, freedom, creative outlets, movement, so that people can process these emotions that we have when we have any lived experience that is uncomfortable and traumatic. And I'm talking anything from somebody jumps out from behind a closet and says boo and it scares you, but you hold it in. And maybe you feel tears well up, but you don't want them to see. So you just, I'm fine, whatever, you didn't scare me. Guess what? That's a trauma that goes unresolved because you shoved down the emotions. I've done this so much in my life. I feel like I'm a pro. And now I'm a pro at letting it out. And not everybody likes that either. Because now we're learning. I'm learning. Now I use my words. So now when I say things like, I'm experiencing a lot of anger and frustration right now, and having people around me that can just be like, okay, I feel you. And not like, oh no, I'm afraid. Because as soon as we start to do something, someone's afraid and we feel bad and then we punish ourselves by not expressing it again. Look at that endless cycle. I think that we're here to make a change. I think that we're here to remember that punishment isn't a good or bad thing. I think questioning why we punish, who we punish, how we punish. I think those are the important questions. Do I really punish, the person that, had some magic mushrooms, or do I punish healthcare systems that drug the elderly so much? Do we punish big pharma for going into medical offices and telling the doctors that if you sell this drug, you get a bonus? What? Like, do we not can we look at ourselves and how we punish and how then it's like, okay, you know what? This doesn't align for me. This doesn't feel good. This company just clear cut that forest. Those Ryan homes and those Pulte homes that are completely clearing off land, forgetting that animals live there, life on earth lives there, plants live there, oxygen giving plants live there. Let's just clear cut it all, build these, McDonald's looking houses. They all look the same, and then sell them to the privileged. Or let's go to the places, same housing companies, right? And then they go to the housing developments that are typically where the marginalized, underserved, and the people of color have lived. let's just tear it down. They'll just go somewhere else. And we go buy those houses. We are not punished. Like, what? Can we not punish that by just not buying those houses? Can we not do that? Like, to me, that's how you punish what you don't feel is right. I don't feel it's right for I don't feel it's right the way animals are kept in cages and not allowed to move and then like factory farmed and then put in all these like plastic containers in the grocery store. Like, that doesn't feel good to me. It feels really bad to my heart, So what do? I don't buy that. I'll spend the extra money and eat meat maybe once a year to know that the animal that I got was a happy animal, lived on the neighbor's farm. So now I'm not only supporting life on earth, I'm supporting my neighbor so that they can continue to feed themselves, their family, and me. So now we're all starting to live in that community, right? The answer is, two of y'all said, so let's start our own commune, right? Community. Unity. It's us coming together, manifesting on earth. Support the community. That is how we punish the system that we don't align with when we are following an unconditionally loving and radically accepting path. That's my perspective. I would love to know your all's perspective on like how else we could punish in a loving way. Because for me, telling someone that they have to go sit in a chair that's going to electrocute them, I get it. If anyone hurts anyone else, like, yep, I don't like it at all. And now it hurts my heart more for the person that did the harming, because I can tap into their timelines of existence and see where they were harmed. And it's usually stuff that it's pretty traumatic. Travis says, I feel punishment should be a means to correct the problem. If you have a child that's playing in the road and you don't lock them in their room to prevent it from happening again. Yes. Right? Yes. Correct the problem. Yeah. You have a kid playing in the street, you want to be like, fine, then I guess I'm not going to punish them. Jane said I shouldn't punish them. Oh, look, now I get hit by a car. Guess I shouldn't punish Jane. Right? But being like, hey, kid, you play in the street, you could be hit by a car, you'll be dead. I'm going to be sad. I want you to live. Stop doing this. And you like get that like super firm, stern, whatever that is. They get it. Because kids get it. We just forget. And, sometimes, I've seen so many people like literally grab a kid up by their arm, damn near pulling their arm out of the socket and just wailing because they ran out into a street. So here's the thing. They may not ever run into the street again, but they're not going to resolve that trauma of just being chastised and beaten and ridiculed for doing something that they were completely innocently minded doing. So now they're going to hold on to that trauma. Let's see when that comes out. And let's see how we'll punish them when they're 16 and that comes out. They're 18 and that comes out. They're 25 and that comes out. Right? I love that, Travis. That to me is, having a compassionate punishment. Your kid is doing something that could hurt them. You correct it, and understand. And then even after we correct it, to remind them, so say you smack them on the bottom, right? Say that's your form of punishment. Fine, great. And then let them process the feeling and trauma of being hit. Like, hold them and tell them that you still love them. Don't smack them and tell them don't run out in the street and then shove them in the back of the car and ignore them. Because now you're really punishing them. And now they're not able to process that emotion. It's going to come out in another now. Or they'll just drug themselves or punish themselves silently or cut themselves or hurt themselves. Right? So I just invite all of us to really think about punishment. Do we punish ourselves? Do we punish others? And if something doesn't really feel good, right? Someone does something we don't like, or they don't do something that we feel they should do, right? They should do. How can we punish them in a way that feels good? I'm telling you, look at what's in your wallet, see where you spend it. That's my advice. and create communities. Look at self-governing systems. Look at new ways of being. Talk about this stuff. See who was on board. Those are my thoughts. And I'm really grateful that we got to share all this stuff because I didn't realize I wanted to talk about punishment, but apparently I did. And I'm really grateful that you all like participated and chimed in. I'm really, really grateful for everyone's thoughts and ideas and everything you have to say and share because it's definitely very inspiring for me in my own path and ways of being that I would hope to continue to evolve and ascend to. So thank you so much for being here, y'all. I love you so much, so much, so much. I love you. Okay, I'll see you all later. Enjoy your night. Drink a lot of water. Okay,